Hello YouTube, it's Pacman here, and today we'll continue our chat up live streams. And today I will talk about login validation. It will be front-end validation, so basically user interface validation without sending any request to backend. If you like my short videos or live streams, then give a like and subscribe to my channel, or basically there. Let's just start. So let's start with the agenda. So we will just go to the code and we will set up the validation in UI, and we'll set up the email and our password and confirm password validation. We can just start. So let's go to our code. We have finished by setting up the login form. First of all, what we need to do, we need to create a form because we have created our text form email and text form password, and text form email and text form password are basically text form fields, and we need to wrap our text form fields into a form, and also we need to add a form key that will handle all the validation. So to do that, we can just wrap our whole form widget, or basically widgets that are in this widget with our form widget, and we need to have a form key. A key. And to do that, we need to create a new variable. Let's call it final form key, and we'll name it global key, and it will be global key of form state, which will handle the whole form state and its validation. And we can just add here the form key. And now what we will do, we'll just adjust the validation for each text form. So we'll go to our text form field of email, and what we need to do, we need to add our validator function, which will take as an argument a string or nullable string, and this can be null or because the user did not put any value in the email. However, for now we'll just return null, and returning null means that all is fine and nothing needs to be returned. However, if we would return an error message, then this is a validation message that would be shown in UI, which I will show you in a second. That's basically the validation function logic that we need to handle. So we can check if value is empty, so if value is null because it's nullable, or if value is null or is empty. Then we can return an error message that will be shown to the user, which means that email must not be empty. And what we can do, we can just copy this function, and we can go to the text form password, and we can add the validator function here. Of course, I passed it too much, copied too much. And here we can just add password. Password must not be empty. And the last thing that we need to do in the login form, we need to basically go to our submit button, which in our case is button login email, because we are validating our email and password, and we don't need to do anything about Google login. We go to our button login email, and what we need to do, we need to add the validation, checking validation in our onPressed function. But to do that, because that's a separate widget, so we need to pass our validation function to this widget. So we'll just write an empty function here, which will be submit function. Of course, we need to add it as required named argument in the constructor. Required this submit function, and what we need to do, basically we need to point to that function. However, we need to execute it. When it is pressed, and we can execute it when passing the argument to button login email constructor. And we'll just create a separate function for that. So let's just create this method. And here, what we can do, we can refer to our form key, to our current state of the key, so current state of the form, and we can run the validate function, which basically validate function will take all the text form fields that are under the form widget, and it will run the validator function and show the error message below the text form fields. Of course, if the validation function is not true, so that's why I put this sign here, then we need to stop executing this function anymore. If it's not false, so let's just put a comment else, send try to log in, send data to server. Because UI validation is used mainly to avoid sending wrong typed data to server, to avoid any traffic to server, and yeah, basically to improve performance of our application, which is basically the idea of front-end validation. In later streams, I will show you how to do the backend validation, or basically how to handle the backend errors sent by Firebase authentication. So now, if we go back, I think we can just run it now. So let's just run our Pixel app. Maybe I can do some magic in showing everything in one screen. I think that should be enough. So in the meantime, you can put a comment, give a like to this video, and write what you think I can do better. Or if you have any ideas about lives or short videos, then you are welcome to write a comment, and that would be appreciated by me. So that you have influence for the channel growth. And we are waiting until it is until the emulator is up and running. If it's up and running, then we can run our application and check if we have if you have validation for putting empty text, or basically trying to log in with empty email and empty password. So yeah, takes a little bit of time. A little bit longer. It's loading and loading. I hope it's not stuck. Maybe we can just close it and run it again. Hopefully it will work now. Let's just close it. Maybe I can just restart Visual Studio. Sometimes shit happens in unexpected situations. But that's common in programming, especially when you have a meeting with client and always something unexpected happens. I have so many stories with that. Okay, you know what? I think something is really wrong. I just need to kill the process of Visual Studio Code, and I will try again. But you know, this time we will just run the code boot. So running the emulator, starting up the Android from scratch. Okay, that looks better. Yeah, maybe I should have started this before the stream, but everything worked. I checked before, so yeah, luckily now it should be starting. Yes, nice. I think it's up and running. Let's just try to open the menu. It's working. Okay, so let's just start our application. When you are watching this from not live, but after it is published, then you can just forward the video to the place when it's up and running. Maybe I can put some chapters to help you. Okay, so let's just click login, and we have seen the red underline, but we cannot see any text message, and this is because we have put empty container as our counter text, because error messages are treated as counter text. And to fix that, well, basically what we need to do, we need to go to the our text forms, and instead of counter, we can just comment it out and save it. And as you can see, our error message is now shown, but also our counter. But we don't want to have counter shown, so we can put counter text to be just empty text. And now we can see our error text. However, what we can do better, we can change our error text style. So let's just put here the text style and change our color, because it's not a big contrast between the background and the error message. Let's just put to colors.amber. So the same as the login button. Yeah, it looks much better. And we can just copy the same to our text form password. So we don't need that counter anymore. And voila, it's working. As you can see, it's working. However, if you start typing something and we click login again, then our validation message for email has disappeared, because we no longer have this if to be true. Our value is not empty, and we return null, so we don't return any error here. So what we are missing is that we can add some more validation to our text form fields. So basically, maybe let's put for password, we can add if our value.length is less than, let's say, 5 characters, then we can return password must have at least 5 characters message. So now if we try to write something like 1 to 3 characters, we have an error message. Let's just write 2 other characters, we don't have an error message. So yeah, it seems like it's working. So if we go back to our agenda, let's focus on email validation more, because email needs to have the this special email sign. So yeah, we can use email validator package, which will do the validation for us for email, and we need to use email validator to validate our email function to check that, and we can use that package function in our validator function in our text form. So yeah, what we can do, we can just add our email validator package in our project. So let's go to root folder of our Flutter project. Let's just pass the code to add the email validator package. We're waiting until the dependencies is resolved. Okay, and now what we can do, we can go to the text from email, and we can add here the email validator, validate, and we can pass our value. Of course, if it's not validated, then we can return email must be in correct format. So let's just save it, and let's just try again. So for email, let's just put something that is not empty, and if you try to log in, email must be in correct format. Let's just add some address at the back, and now it's fine. Let's remove this sign. Yeah, as you can see, it's working. So yeah, what we are missing? We are missing validation for confirm password, and if you go back to our login form, we can see that our confirm password is basically text form password as well. So our validation of text form password will be the same, and it needs to be at least 5 characters. However, I would add a separate text form confirm password, because we need to also check our if our confirm password is the same as our password. So what we will do, we will just create a new widget, which we will call text form confirm password.dart. It will be stateless widget. Or maybe, you know what, I will just remove that, and I will just copy the text form password to be here. Of course, we need to change the name to be text form confirm password. We can also specify our text editing controller, confirm password controller, from which we will take password controller, from which we will take what is currently in our password, so that we can compare it with confirm password text. Okay, so we have password controller, so let's just add it as required required property in our constructor. Well, you know what, maybe we can just remove this check, because that check is on a password, and for confirm password, what we are really interested in is only that if our password is the same, if our confirm password is the same as password. So to do that, we need to get the password controller text. So let's just add final password is password controller text, and we can trim it. What we can do, first of all, we can check if our value is not equal to null, and if our password is different than our value. Then what we can write, must be the same as password. Of course, we need to return the string. let's just save it, and of course in our login form, instead of text from password, for confirm password we need to use text from confirm password, and we need to add the password controller, which will be password controller. Let's just save it, maybe we can just rerun it. Okay, so no account, register, password must not be empty, register again, and confirm password must be the same as password. So maybe let's just put a text that is, let's just test1, which is 5 characters, and here write test1, click register, and voila, we don't have any error. Now let's put extra character, and we have an error message that must be the same as password. So actually now it's looking okay. I saw a typo here. Now let's save it. Now it's looking okay. So yeah, basically that's the whole validation process. As you can see here, we have some kind of styling issue, and this is mainly because the space taken by form takes too much space, and that our screen is not scrollable. Yeah, I think we can just ignore it for now, and I will fix that later. And yeah, for today it's all. It's really short one. I also today uploaded a video, short video about this validation process in 30 seconds. So yeah, you can also check that out again, and yeah, use it as template. You don't need to rewatch whole almost 30 minutes video live. So yeah, for today that's all. It's really short one, and in the next video I will show you how to basically use Firebase for logging, and yeah, it will be more backend stuff there. So yeah, that's all for now, and yeah, see you next time. Who is the best?